Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I am Paul John Dykes. I'm joined tonight by Laura Bradburn, and we're here to discuss the first half of what is Celtic 2, St Mirren 0. Comprehensive at this stage of the game, I would suggest, Laura.
Yeah, a shaky first 10 minutes or so, but I think overall we came into our game and seemed to calm down a little bit and really take control of it, which I was really enjoying seeing.
Well, I want to start off by obviously looking at the debut boy. He doesn't look as though this is the first time he's worn the hoops. And Jason Lee comes in. Kobayashi looks good. He looks so composed. He's very smooth, got loads of time on the ball. There was even on one occasion where he was mopping up for Starfelt. And I said before the game, of course, Laura, that Starfelt would be talking him through the game. He doesn't need to talk through the game. The guy looks class so far.
Yeah, absolutely. He really looks as though he's very comfortable on the ball, which I'm enjoying seeing. Probably needs a little bit of a little bit more time to establish just how good a defender he is, but I'm enjoying watching him spray the ball out from the back. And like you say, I think that's an area of Starfelt's game he could improve on, but Kobayashi seems to have that under control, which is good to see.
Yeah, it really was. Keep the comments coming in. How did you make, what did you make rather of that first half? Kobayashi makes his debut. Juranovic playing left back, Johnson back in at right back. How well are the wingers playing in Abada and Jota? And indeed, we'll be talking about the goals as well. But 5 seconds into the game, Laura, and I think it shows your intent when Kyogo charges down the centre, obviously. The old school centre was two guys would stand at the ball. That doesn't happen anymore. Obviously, it's played back, and Kyogo wins possession. He forces St Mirren to lose possession within 5 seconds of the game. And I just think that urgency has been there from the kickoff. And I think we've been on top of this game from the first whistle. Yeah, St Mirren, there was a couple of issues, obviously, that we had to come through. But I think Kyogo showed our intent from the first 5 seconds of the game.
Yeah, I think like you say, he showed what the rest of the team's intent was, and that he's not been the only one doing it. All the players seem to have been up for the battle and up for the fight, closing down, never stopping when in possession. We're back to the quick throws and quick set pieces, and yeah, I think it's been good to see the team actually be up for this game, because St Mirren, as we all know, can cause us problems if we aren't. And we were concerned about the lineup before we started, but obviously, regardless of the lineup, if you've got the right attitude, you can make things happen, and that's what we've done.
Yeah, concern at the changes in the starting 11, and you're sitting at half-time 2-0 up, and I'm not going to say coasting, but we look extremely comfortable. We'll be looking at some of the moments of that first half, as well as the performances of some of the Celtic players. But before I do that, let's have a look at some of the other results coming in from the SPFL this evening. Half-time, Heart of Midlothian 4, Laura, Aberdeen 0. What on earth is going on at Aberdeen? That is an absolute pasting, and it's only half time at Tynecastle.
Yeah, Aberdeen are a kind of strange one. I think if I've seen anything of Jim Goodwin's team so far this season, I think he lets the opposition dictate how much he plays, and I think they chop and change their style too much, and they can leave themselves open to a pasting, as you say. And that's what I like about Ange. For us, doesn't change his attitude, doesn't change his approach to games, and that consistency has only served to help us be as good as we've been this season.
Heart Midlothian now, Laura, are 12 points behind Rangers, and Rangers are 11 points behind Celtic. Rangers, of course, are drawing at the moment, one each with Kilmarnock, who took the lead after 6 minutes, and the equaliser came in from Morelos on 23. So as it stands, and obviously 45 minutes is a long time in football, as it stands, Celtic are going to go even further ahead. And you could hear the chants. By the way, Wednesday night, frozen out there tonight. What a crowd that is at Celtic Park as well, Laura.
Yeah, I was watching the game with my brother, and I was saying it's nights like this that make me glad I don't have a season ticket. But a fantastic crowd out there on a Wednesday night, when I'm sure there's plenty would have rather stayed in their warm, cosy houses. But it's great to see that turnout, and the players will appreciate it, I'm sure.
But listen, I'm looking forward to taps off in the second half in the Green Brigade standing section. I'm sure we'll see a few as well. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We're about 600 strong in the live stream, which is tremendous on a Wednesday night as well from all over the world. Those who can't get to the game can tune into Acsom and watch the halftime bulletin. Red Scotland, welcome back to the show. You're commenting on YouTube, all going to plan, and another title in the bag. I'll tell you, if it keeps going this way, I'll start believing that as well. I never like to count my chickens, but we're looking really, really strong. John Sweeney, I mean, we're against the team, the only team domestically who have taken our scalp this season are St Mirren, and we've kind of swiped them aside tonight. I mean, there's been a few moments which we'll talk about, Laura, but that's as comfortable a performance in the first half as I've seen all season.
Yeah, like I said at the start, I think we were a little bit jittery and we were looking to try and calm things down in the first 10 minutes, but once we got a hold of the game, we've looked pretty accomplished, and the ball's been in their half more than it's been in our half. I think it was something like 72% possession for us at one point in the first half, so that confidence in holding on to the ball will only tire them out even more in the second half, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more goals.
Yeah, I hope that is the case. John Sweeney, someone said at the beginning of the game they wanted 7. I'm not quite sure if we'll get the 7. But you do, particularly if Rangers do drop anything whatsoever, and I know what it's like, second half, to have Penn, we're going to be waiting on that one. But what we want to do in a night like tonight is just score as many goals as you possibly can, increase that lead, increase the goal difference. John Sweeney, Kobe looking comfortable at the back. Starfelt being Starfelt, says John. Couple of slack passes, but looking good for the 3 points. What I would say, though, is, and we've already pointed out that Kobayashi covered for him on at least one occasion, but Starfelt, in terms of a one-on-one, a head-to-head, it's the defensive part of his game, Laura, that he's done really, really well, and that's that first half.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've talked about Starfelt before. I actually was I was looking for a stat to come on here and say, look, Kobayashi's done so much better. Kobayashi's been the better of the two. They've actually both got 93% passing accuracy, and I think Starfelt's doing better in all the defensive statistics that you could throw at them. So, the eye can be deceiving. Starfelt deserves plaudits for the performance he's put in tonight, and that St Mirren striker has really not been out of his pocket the entire game so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about some of the high points as well. But, within 30 seconds, Laura, I'm looking at the screen wondering if it's going to be one of those nights. Abada pulled back by Dunn, no VAR check. And I'm sitting thinking to myself, not again. We're going to have to be talking about VAR. But really, the big VAR decision, I guess, was when Main scored, but he was called offside. At first, I thought it looked really tight. And then you seen the VAR check, and you can see that he was offside. McCulloch in the commentary box at Celtic TV, Jerry McCulloch, basically said that the tide is turning. I'm not that confident that the VAR tide is turning, but it was refreshing to see that particular decision getting called correctly. And of course, not long after it, Abada opens the goal scoring. What were we saying before the game about Abada? He really had to make an impression tonight, and I think he really has, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of quality you're looking for from him. I think his goal scoring ability is probably one of his most underrated and yet most vital contributions that he makes. How often do we see the ball coming in from the other side of the park and him running in onto it, either at the back post or running in and attacking it on the front post? And he's done it again. And yeah, I think his weaknesses in terms of sometimes beating a player, sometimes giving the ball away a bit too much, that's all made up for me by his goal contributions, and I'd really like to see him stay on in the second half and get a really good run this game.
I would hope so as well. And what a goal it was. O'Reilly wins and takes the corner. Starfelt shots very well saved. Kobayashi almost scores on his debut. And then the follow-up by Abada, and he's pretty clinical in a scenario like that, has got to be said. Jason Lee, Kobayashi almost had a spectacular goal. It would have been a great opening to his Celtic career. And I'm thinking back to Ramon Vega scoring against Aberdeen in his first game. Denayer scored in his debut. Gents scored in his debut, so we've got some centre
Yep.
halves opening the scoring on their debuts. And I thought Kobayashi, I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if he scored in that second half. I've been really impressed with him. I know it's only 45 minutes, Laura, but Kobayashi has looked class so far. Jungle Lion pitch isn't helping, but gradually wearing them down. That pitch does look as though it's cutting up a wee bit, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, the massive changes in temperature over the past few weeks won't have helped. It's been freezing cold, it's been back up to relatively mild, and then freezing cold again. I am far from a horticulturalist, but I believe that's not good for grass. So all I can say is fair play to the groundsman for getting that in as good condition as they can. But I'm not surprised at this point of the season and with the weather the way that it is cutting up a little bit. But if we can play with that, we'll be able to play on anything.
Yeah, for sure. Horticulturist. Yes, I'm the same. I'm in the same boat when it comes to that. I would slab or block both gardens if I had the opportunity. We Jimmy Hart's 4-0 Aberdeen. Taxi for Goodwin, I think. It seemed to be going all right for Jim Goodwin. And I remember speaking to the Aberdeen boys before the charity weekend. They fancied their chances against us. That's how confident they were going into that game at Pittodrie. Laura, they really fancied their chances. But the wheels have come off that spectacularly since then. And I mean, that could be anything tonight at Tynecastle. We'll be keeping an eye on all the results as the night progresses. I'm just going to double check because the Rangers game kicked off a wee bit later on. It's still sitting at 1 each just before half time. Mark E is coming in. There's a lot of positivity around Kobayashi. He's won me over already, says Mark E. He is looking class, it's got to be said. And I've got to say, right, and this isn't a slight on Starfelt, right? He's looking so good. I'm picturing him alongside Carter Vickers already, you know, in terms of a partnership. And yes, I know that for a season and a half, the best partnership in Scotland has been Carter Vickers and Starfelt. But, you know, it's only 45 minutes, but I'm already looking at that prospect and thinking to myself, I can't wait to see them playing together. Loads of comments coming in about Kobayashi, Laura.
Yeah, I think you can't help but get excited when you see a player of his ability. That near goal when he hit the post just showed his technical ability. And I just hope that when he gets a bit more of a challenge defensively, that he proves he's as good in that sense as he is on the ball, because it's clear we've got a footballer on our hands and a kind of ball playing defender that we've wanted for that left hand side of the defence. When Carter Vickers comes back in, as I hope he does soon, you'll be struggling to get the two of them out of that defence, I would think.
Yeah, I think so, to be fair. Now, obviously, we scored a second, but another note that I've made here is Hart, when called upon, made a really decent and important save from Ayunga when he was called into action. We spoke about him before the game. The fact that, you know, sometimes people go on a consistent run, and we were talking about McGregor in that respect, but I think Hart's kind of in that run as well, where we're not really talking too much about him, Laura, because he's just getting on with it, but he's pulled off a really good save at an important time as well. And I feel that Matt O'Reilly, you know, there's been a bit of focus on O'Reilly's performances, and in that first half, I thought he's done really well, but he's done the defending side of the game really well as well, Laura.
He just looks a bit more up for it than I think he's done in recent weeks, for whatever the reason is, whether he's been feeling a bit physically not there. But Peter Grant, who's on the co-commentary for the coverage that I'm watching tonight, was talking about that he actually had a lot of back problems in his early career that was potentially holding him back. So it's interesting to hear that and what his potential limitations could have been, because he's obviously overcome a lot to get to where he is. And yeah, I'm just enjoying seeing his attitude being as good as it is, even if his form hasn't matched up to in recent weeks.
Yeah, for sure. The other point I was making there, I'm not going to turn this into a moan fest, but Gogic gets away with so many rash challenges. You know, he needs to get booked. Within 22 minutes, he had made two. I think it was Abada and Johnston were on the wrong end of them. Now, we need to also talk about that second goal, because there was a wee moment there, Laura, that I thought we're going to add that into the DVD extras, the bonus extras of goals that were chopped off, that were things of beauty. But thankfully, it stood. What a pass from Hatate. And what about a finish from Kyogo, rubber stamping the fact that he is the number one striker at Celtic Park.
Yeah, I can't decide what I like better, the assist or the goal. They were both absolutely fantastic. Both players playing on their instincts, which is where they both produce their best work. And Kyogo's just one of those players. Every time you think, oh, he's not really having much of an impact, he pops up with a goal every single time, and you just always think to yourself, as long as he's on the pitch, we've got a chance of a goal, and you can't buy that.
No, for sure. The only other thing I'm going to say is Jota looks like he's in the mood, Laura, but I'm not digging that moustache. What's your take on it?
Not
undecided on the Mauser. What do you make of that? Come in the comments for the full-time bulletin. We're going back to the action, and all that's left for me to say is once again, Laura Bradburn, thank you for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.